Story 1, the fourth drawer. When Elaine died, something in Martin stopped turning. Like a rusted cog that used to drive everything forward. His laughter, his routine, even the way he walked. He moved through their old Victorian house in Biddeford like a ghost, bumping into memories, forgetting why he'd entered rooms. She'd passed in her sleep, just like the doctor said was likely. Quiet, painless, merciful. But Martin thought mercy should have come for him too, and it hadn't. Weeks passed, then a month. Her things still sat untouched. Her robe hung on the hook behind the bathroom door, faintly scented with lavender. Her slippers waited by the bed, like she'd just stepped out for a glass of water. The bedroom stayed the same, because touching anything felt like betraying her. That changed on a rainy Thursday, when a leak from the ceiling forced him to move the vanity out from the wall. It was an antique, a wedding gift from her grandmother. Martin had never paid much attention to it, but as he tilted it forward with a grunt, he heard something clunk inside. He opened the top drawers, bobby pins, hair ties, half-empty lipstick tubes, and then noticed something odd, a fourth drawer at the bottom that didn't quite match. No handle, seamless edges. He touched it. Wood, not veneer, solid. He knocked on it. Hollow. The drawer didn't have a keyhole, just a tiny round dent near the corner, barely noticeable. He fiddled with it for hours, trying knives, screwdrivers, a flashlight in his mouth. Finally, he pressed his thumb into the dent, and with a soft click, the drawer slid open. Inside was a stack of yellowed stationery, bound with a faded pink ribbon. At the top was a folded note, written in Elaine's unmistakable cursive. Martin, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. Please read carefully. He froze. The ache in his chest twisted. His name in her handwriting made his knees weak. He unfolded the paper and sat down hard on the bed. At 3:17 this afternoon, the phone will ring. Don't answer it. Just let it go. He glanced at the clock. 3:14. His pulse quickened. He told himself it was grief playing tricks, a leftover scent stirring the brain, the way trauma can echo like footsteps in an empty hall. Still, he sat frozen, eyes on the hallway where the phone hung on the wall. At exactly 3:17, it rang. The sound punched the silence like a hammer. It rang 3 times, then stopped. Martin stared at it long after, like it might lift off the hook and speak anyway. He read the note again. The next paper had tomorrow's date at the top. Check the mailbox before noon. There'll be a letter you shouldn't read, but will. Once you do, don't throw it away, burn it. The next morning, against his better judgment, he went out in his robe and slippers. The air smelt like rain-soaked leaves. Inside the mailbox was a plain white envelope, addressed to Elaine. No return address. He opened it. It was a letter from a man named Jack. Intimate. Rambling. Confessing regret. Jack and Elaine had, years ago, before her illness, shared something Martin never suspected. The words were dense, sorrowful, and far too detailed. He burned it, as the note instructed. The ashes curled like dying insects in the sink. Each day brought a new note. Some were benign, even comforting. The lilies you planted last spring will bloom today. She loved them. Others were sharp, cold directives. Do not go to the cemetery on Tuesday. Stay inside. Lock the doors. Martin began to dread the drawer. He'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering what the next note would demand. Or reveal. One night, he skipped it, drank half a bottle of scotch, turned up the TV, and left the drawer untouched. Around midnight, someone knocked at the back door. Not once, not twice, but 8 times, soft and slow. Then, silence. He didn't move. He held his breath for an hour, until dawn crept in through the blinds like pale fingers. When he finally checked the backyard, the grass was flattened in a perfect circle, like someone had stood there watching for a very long time. He never skipped again. The note started to mention people. His neighbor's child, who would fall from her bike. Go help her, she won't cry until she sees the blood. A woman at the pharmacy who would be short $1. Give her yours. You'll find it in your coat pocket. Then it got darker. You'll find a dead bird in the basement. Do not bury it. Do not touch it with your hands. And later, stop watching the man across the street. He sees you too. Martin became hollowed out by knowing. The future had weight, and now he carried it. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Everything he did felt like a decision already made by someone else. Until the last note. He opened the drawer one morning and found only a single envelope. No date, no ribbon, just a folded piece of stationery and a key taped to it. You've done well, my love. You've followed every word. Now you must choose. The key opens the cabinet under the floorboards in the attic. Inside is the truth. You can ignore it, burn it, or use it. If you use it, you can see me again. Just once. Martin stood in the attic for an hour with the key in his fist, staring at the faint outline of a trap door. Dust spiraled in the morning light like tiny ghosts. His heart thudded like it wanted to escape his chest. He unlocked the hatch. We will never know what he found. The neighbors say he moved out that night, packed a single bag, drove west, and never looked back. The house was sold as is. The new owners ripped out the vanity, threw it in the dumpster out back. The fourth drawer was sealed shut. No dent, no seam. Just smooth, unbroken wood. But sometimes, late at night, the new owners say they hear it click open. Story 2, basement apartment 6A. Emily Carr was 19 when she moved into basement apartment 6A. She found it on a ragged flyer posted outside the coffee shop near campus. $400 0 cents /Mo. All utilities included. Private entrance, no pets. That last part made her laugh. She could barely feed herself, let alone a goldfish. It was perfect. Too perfect. But when you're broke and sick of roommates who eat your cereal and leave beard trimmings in the sink, perfection looks suspiciously like salvation. The house sat on a slouching street in Fall River, Massachusetts, a place that always felt like it had been left out in the rain too long. The building itself was older than old. Crumbling porch, peeling white paint, and rust stains that wept down the siding like dried blood. The landlady, a tiny woman with a smoker's voice and hair the color of dryer lint, met Emily outside and didn't bother with pleasantries. Just showed her the door down the side alley and told her, no parties, no noise after 10, the walls remember. Emily thought she said it like a joke, but it stuck with her. The basement was damp and dim, but not terrible. It had low ceilings, a mattress on the floor, a kitchenette with a fridge that hummed like it was hiding a secret, and one narrow window near the ceiling that looked out onto someone's tire. The back wall, however, was the weird part. Brick, not drywall. There was a short gray door there, barely 4 feet high, with a brass knob that didn't turn. No keyhole, just a door that wouldn't open. She tried it once out of curiosity. That again, it didn't budge. Classes started, and Emily got busy. Psych 101, American Lit, a soul-sucking comp-sci elective that made her wonder why she hadn't become a dental hygienist instead. She didn't think about the door again until the third week, when she came home late after a cram session. It was 2:14 a.m. and she was tossing her coat onto the chair when she heard the click. She turned. The little gray door had opened a crack. Not much, just enough to see black beyond it. No smell, no breeze, just darkness. She froze. She was sure it had been locked. She walked over slowly, like someone approaching a sleeping animal. Bent down, touched the knob. It felt warm. She opened the door wider. It wasn't a closet, not even close. Behind it was a hallway that sloped downward, made of the same old bricks but darker, slick with something she hoped was just water. There was no light switch, but something glowed faintly ahead, pale and green like the underside of a mushroom. Emily stood there for what felt like hours. Her brain screamed to shut the door and go to bed, but something else, something quieter, was pulling her forward. She stepped in. The air changed instantly. It smelled like basements and something deeper, something like soil or old pennies. The hallway went on longer than made sense. She should have been under the neighbor's house by now, but it just kept going. At the end, she found a door. Another gray one, but taller. She touched the knob and something flickered through her mind. A birthday party she couldn't place. The smell of cinnamon candles. A dog with mismatched eyes. She opened it. The room beyond was full of boxes, stacked floor to ceiling, each marked with names. Some she recognized: Rachel McClellan, Jeff Cortez, Amanda Poe, all students. Some still at school, some long gone. One box on the highest shelf was labeled Emily Carr. Her knees went soft. She stepped closer, heart drumming in her neck. The box was sealed, but as soon as she touched it, the lid popped open like it had been waiting for her. Inside were things she didn't remember losing: a mitten from childhood, a page from a diary she hadn't kept, a ribbon she hadn't worn since second grade, and deeper down, photos. Old ones, black and white. A girl who looked exactly like her, but in clothes from the 1940s, smiling stiffly beside the same house. Apartment 6A behind her, the caption on the back, Emily C., 1947. She dropped the photo. Something stirred behind her. A scrape? A breath. She turned fast. The hallway was gone. Behind her now was only the room, stretching wider, darker. The boxes were gone too. In their place were mirrors, hundreds of them, all showing her, but not quite. In some, her eyes were wrong. In others, her mouth moved when hers didn't. In one, her reflection smiled and beckoned with a finger. Emily ran. She found the gray door again, somehow, and shoved through it. The hallway was back, shorter this time. She sprinted, slipped, hit the bricks with her elbow, and tasted blood. When she got back to her apartment, the door slammed shut behind her like it had never opened. The clock said 2:17. She moved out the next morning. No note, no goodbye. She left the mattress, the dishes, even her favorite sweater. She didn't care. She couldn't stay in a place where doors remember you, where something behind the bricks knows your name. But even now, in her new apartment across town, she wakes up at 2:13 a.m. every night. Not 2:12, not 2:14, 2:13. And she listens. Because sometimes, when the night is especially still, she swears she hears that soft, slow click. Story 3, The Boy with Wet Eyes. It was just after dusk when the boy came to their door. The rain hadn't let up all day. Cold, steady, and mean. The kind of storm that makes the gutters choke and the sky turn the color of old bruises. Claire heard the knock first. A soft, wet tapping. Not the UPS guy. Not a neighbor. Something about it made her pause in the middle of drying a plate. She opened the door crack and there he stood. No coat, no shoes. His small frame was soaked through, shivering in a blue t-shirt and jeans so wet they clung to his legs like a second skin. But what she noticed, what hit her in the chest, were his eyes. Big, pale blue, and constantly leaking. Not like crying, no heaving, no expression of sadness or fear, just dripping. Like there was a faucet behind them that someone had forgotten to turn off. "I'm supposed to be here," he said quietly. Claire blinked. "Honey, where are your parents? Are you lost?" He shook his head. "They said you'd know me." Claire didn't know what possessed her to let him in. Maybe it was the storm. Maybe it was the way he looked at her. Like she was something old and familiar. Like a dog waiting for its master to remember. She got a towel, wrapped him in it, sat him by the space heater. When David, her husband, came in from the garage a few minutes later, he stopped short. "Who's that?" he asked. Claire opened her mouth, closed it again. "Either," he said, "he's supposed to be here." David stared at the boy. The boy stared back. His eyes were still dripping. Tiny trails of water traced down his cheeks and soaked the towel in his lap. There was no panic, no twitch of fear, just a slow, patient waiting, like he had all the time in the world. They called the local police, filed a report, but the storm had taken down lines. No one showed up that night. "We'll keep him here," Claire said, "just for tonight till things clear up." David didn't like it, Claire could see that, but he nodded. One night, the boy didn't say a word when they led him to the guest room, just stood there, staring at the neatly made bed like he hadn't seen one in years. That night, Claire dreamt of water Dark water, cold and still. A lake, maybe. She was walking into it. Not scared, not rushing, just going under. When she woke, the sheets were damp. She rolled over and nearly screamed. The boy was standing beside her bed. His face was blank, his eyes still leaking. "You remember me now, don't you?" She couldn't speak, couldn't move, just lay there, frozen under his gaze. Then he turned and walked away. In the morning, she asked David if the boy had come to his side of the bed. He didn't answer at first, just poured coffee into his cup with a shaking hand. "Yeah," he said finally. "He asked me the same thing." They didn't speak of it again that day, but both of them looked at the boy differently now. Not like a guest, not like a child in need, more like something fragile but sharp at the edges, something dangerous, in disguise. They noticed other things too. The puddles. He never drank water, never ate much, but wherever he walked, he left a faint trail behind. Footprints that never dried. At one point, Claire swore she heard dripping from the attic. The attic had been sealed since they bought the house. On the third night, David found an old photo tucked behind a bookshelf. He didn't remember putting it there. Didn't remember the photo at all. It was of a group of kids standing in front of the lake, all muddy shoes and summer grins. Claire was there, barely older than 12. David too, and the boy, standing in the back, drenched to the bone, not smiling. "I don't remember this," Claire whispered, but she did. The memory came like a crack in a dam, sudden, loud. She was 12. They were at Camp Lachlan, she and David and a few others. There had been a boy, quiet, always watching. He didn't swim, didn't talk much. Some of the kids picked on him. One day, they dared him to walk out onto the lake's frozen surface. He fell through. No one dove in after him. They told the counselors they didn't see it, that he just wandered off. The lake never gave the body back. Now he stood in their doorway, silent as the rain, his eyes running like the lake on thawing day. That night, he stood by Claire's bed again. "You remember me now, don't you?" Claire nodded, tears of her own falling now. He smiled. And just like that, the dripping stopped. In the morning, the guest room was empty. No puddles, no footprints, just a folded towel on the bed and a single wet handprint on the window pane, already drying in the sun. They never spoke of it again, but every time it rains, Claire still watches the doorway, waiting for the soft knock, wondering what else she's forgotten, wondering who else might come back, asking to be remembered.